initiative that in the next few weeks we will be registering a housing society so that we can start investing in housing and actually meeting that one of the big four issues in in Kenya. Now, my questions or my concerns are really to ask you as governors in the different counties, what opportunities and environments are the county government establishing for women to invest in these big four? Also, what resources in each of the counties do we have for women that we as a diaspora women group with over 800 members looking to grow our country can get into? And lastly, as we are embarking on starting our first housing development, which we're actually projecting to be completed in the year 2020, where do we have material in Kenya that we can use, or can we be assured that the material that would be used to construct such buildings will be available locally instead of our developer having to produce or rather to import from China? We would like to promote the local manufacturers, the youth, and all that kind of resources available in Kenya. If we can be assured that in your county you have available materials that we can use, we want to go to as many counties as possible. We want to team up with each one of you if possible so that we do not concentrate in providing this resource in one place, which, for lack of diversity would be Nairobi area. But if we can go to Kisumu, we can go to Turkana, we can go to the coast, we can go to Bomet or other places. If you can tell us that, yeah, we can have these resources, our process will be easier. Then in the next couple of years, we will start looking into going into different, diversifying. Thank you.
All right, I think we're done with the question, but we're still online reminding.
Last question. Kindly.
I'll remind you, Washo, that we have another panel, that we have an avenue for questions. Hold that question if you don't mind, so we all get to answer this and move for the next part. Okay, looks like we have to I'm overruled by Her Excellency, then I'll let you, but please make it very precise.
I will, and it's a very important question. That's why, I'm sorry, I apologize, I have to ask it. Much as we work with I'm with the Kenya Diaspora Circle, most of us women individually in the circle, we also do independent work in Kenya. I was born in Dandora, and most of us know how Dandora is, okay? So when I came to this country, my first thing, I wanted to give back, and I wanted to give back as a woman, and I wanted to give back in a way that will benefit generations to come. So with my church in Los Angeles, I live in California, we were able to construct a maternity in the middle of Dandora, a state-of-the-art maternity in the middle of Dandora. It's there, it's working. But I need the gentleman, His Excellency, that talked about NHIF. My people are watching back home, they're watching this, because I told them I'll ask this question. We are having problems accepting our mothers who have NHIF cards because the government will not allow us to be accredited. You're telling us to come and build hospitals. I have built one for you. I have built one for our people. But then we are leaving our women behind. We are not taking care of the women that we came to help, because you cannot give us the NHIF. You cannot accredit my facility to be able to take care of my people better. So that, His Excellency, gentlemen, I would like for you to answer that question for me. Again, my people are watching. I need the phone call. I need to go speak to somebody. They can go tomorrow in that office. I need to be accredited in the next 24 hours.
I love the power. Suddenly, the lady from California had a point. Order in the house. Let's not get too excited. Order. That is very good, Washo. Thank you. My reminding you that there's another panel for the hospital. Actually, that issue may come in on the next discussion. So hold that question, it's very valid, and thank you for coming from California, we appreciate it. But let's also look from the internet so we can have the first part of the panel done. There is a question coming from Wilson Ondara. Thank you for watching us on the internet. It says, very sad that now Kenya is filled with Chinese. They happen to be shorter people who have taken our jobs and nothing is done or said. Corruption top of the agenda. If you're not corrupt, you're doomed. Why and why you all can talk or fight corruption and reduce the dependence on the Chinese? And there's another question. I saw one that is talking about voting, that it's not within your jurisdictions, but can governors be part and parcel of the diaspora desire to vote? And then finally, Monari Bonyancha. My biggest question, Ben, is, I think you're Ben. Why are most governors operating without county framework and structures to train county workers, streamline service delivery through system integrations to harmonize all departments, serve constituents? We have made effort to assist with counties, create the framework and structures in place at the inception of devolution, but the governors never shown the will to lead. Now we see massive failure on all systems because the local government are run haphazardly. I think that will be a question for His Excellency Nanok. I don't know whether we'll twist him back, whatever, but I think with those questions, let's start the answers, and my moderator has something else.
No, the questions. Yeah, I'll start with the last question from Marianne from the SACCO. Governor Ngilu, you'll answer this. What opportunities and environment for women investment? What are the resources for women? Material for construction, are they available, especially for women? And accreditation for NHIF. Ngilu, you're once the Minister for Health. Please tell, please just, those three questions, Ngilu. We'll start with Governor Ngilu.
Thank you so much for those questions. I just want to say that, first of all, you have given us not only what you'd like to see, but you have also felt the feelings that you have, and they have come out very, very clearly and very passionately. An issue of NHIF, I think the former chair of NHIF, who is Governor Mahmoud for Marsabit, is here. He will be able to answer that. But for sure, it should be registered if it's already completed as a hospital. So there will be no problem really at all, because we want that done. On issues of SACCO, I mean, you have done so well. And I think we as women should not just limit ourselves and going where we are asking. Remember, I personally believe that women will never be given anything by anybody. You go and get it. They are not about to let those positions or even money go, because they want to sit on them and keep on giving us peanuts, handouts. You have done already so well, and you can continue to do so. And if really, Marianne, you can come to Kitui and start. In fact, what I'm right now looking for is somebody who can invest in the wealth that we have in Kitui in mining. If I can get somebody to start mining, come invest in Kitui to mine our coal, to mine our iron ore, to mine our limestone, it should be signed today so that we can get it done. And it doesn't have to be done by men, quite honestly. We have what it takes, and I only want to passionately say to all of us in the diaspora, and although you have not asked me to talk about, there is one issue of youth issues. Everything that we all talk about is almost rocket science. But our youth are languishing in our counties. They have nothing to do. They have turned into drugs. They have turned into just doing any crime that they can come across, because we have not understood their needs. They have no skills in the first place. In our country, by the way, because it's our country. Every year, 600,000 young people complete their standard 8 and the Form 4, and they don't go beyond that. And then they go to the villages. They get married if they are girls, or the boys also get married. You go to a home, you find a young man who has married, is about 19-year-old, and a sister. Both of them, the sister has had a child in the family, and the young man has married, also has a child, and their mother is about 40 years old, and the other 3 are breastfeeding. What development is Kenya going to get? We don't address this. We want to kind of talk on the surface here, and we don't want to say no. Let's build skills in these young people. Here I'm asking for somebody to help me get how to make shoes back home, so that shoes do not have to come from America. Shoes can come from Kenya to America. Show me how we are going to make garments. I went to India and I saw women, Indian women who have never been to school, making the best bras and pants for Marks and Spencer, Calvin Klein, Victoria's Secret. They are being made in India. Why can't they be made in Kenya? Can we change this conversation so that at least we can get things coming from Kenya to America and not America to Kenya? I think that's how we are going to build our country. And I'm appealing to you. Thank you.
Excuse me. Allow me to help Her Excellency on the issue of material availability in Kenya.
1 minute, please. 1 minute. Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah.
Thank
you. When I was re-elected for my second term, I was very, very concerned about the Chinese in Kenya and how they are taking all the jobs at the expense of our people. And one of the things that I wanted to do is to do an amendment in Public Procurement and Disposals Act, so that we can ring-fence our contractors. And when we sat down with the Parliamentary Research Office, I was amazed, because all those laws are there, but they are never followed. You cannot come from another country, come to Kenya as a contractor and win a contract unless you enjoin yourself to Kenyans and they have to have at least 51% shareholding in that company. Those rules are completely ignored. So what I have done is to bring together contractors to enlighten them on what is happening, so that whenever they give out a contract and it is unprocedural and illegal, these guys will go to the Public Procurement and Oversight Authority, so that we must bring back work to be done by Kenya.
Thank you.
Secondly, on material, we have a lot of material in Kenya, but we have found a shortcut because of the highly subsidized material from China. If our people are making doors in Gekomba, if our people are making furniture, we find it much, much easier to import those cheap Chinese products. So I'm right now working on an amendment on our excise duty, so that if something is manufactured in Kenya and you opt to bring yours from China or from wherever, then you pay 50% excise duty. So that those imported products are going to become extremely expensive because they are costing us jobs. And finally, we must talk to our technocrats, because what our technocrats are doing are bundling work together. A good example is the last mile connectivity. The contractors who are getting these jobs are like 80% foreign, because the requirements are so rigid, so stringent, that our local contractors cannot be able to do it. A good example, a contractor who has been awarded to do coast is doing Mombasa, is doing Kwale, is doing Kilifi, is doing Wundanyi, up to Machakos as one contractor. How many local contractors are going to be able to do that? So we must also talk sense to our technocrats, because there are over 500 contractors who are doing work for Kenya Power Lighting. Today they have all been suspended. In the meantime, the Chinese are continuing to do the work. Where is our country heading?
Thank you very much. I'll now move to the question from briefly, just one minute answers from Professor Nyang, Professor Governor Kisumu. I'll go back to Ongele. What are you ready to take risks as entrepreneurs? Please just tell us because you're talking of too much security risks. Are you ready as investors?
I was born ready. I'm Kenyan. I was born ready, right? Yes, I am ready to take risks, and I know several people that are ready to take risks. And if you remember, when I started talking, a big point I made was we all want to go back home. We're all bred to think and to understand that nothing will ever replace Kenya as being home. And so not only are we just intuitively ready to go back home, but I believe we literally are ready to go back home just based on everything that the circumstances we've been through right now. So, for example, the fact that we're sitting here is proof that we are ready to take risks. I mean, you cannot tell me that anything you did or read or anyone you spoke to before you first came to the States, not as just a visitor, but as a person who came to live here, that anything prepared you for this. It is an incredible undertaking, and there are a lot of things to overcome when you move to the States. So that in itself, if anybody hasn't quite realized it of themselves, that in itself is proof that we are risk takers. And then, you know, the different real estate investments that pretty much everybody, not everybody, but most people have. Those are risks that we're already taking, showing that we'll dip our toe into the pool, but is it frigid? There's no knowing. So if we could get predictability and accountability, as I mentioned, we had an example of someone who's gone ahead and built a hospital. So that's another piece of proof. I think what specifically I'm asking for is for the government to meet us halfway. And it goes back to starting off with those informational forums where we can exchange information, listen to the people's needs, and really, I keep saying this, social media is huge, it's interactive, it would be a quick way for the leadership to hear what people are saying. And you will see, I'm sure you will see the tides turn once there is a back and forth versus just kind of speaking to the power and not feeling like you're heard. There would be a more positive outlook and feedback on the internet as opposed to what we've been hearing, even the sentiments about this event itself. And then back to the investors that took risks. You know, we're no longer in the final frontier, guns, germs, and steel. I mean, there are certain names that are household names in Kenya because they struck while the iron was hot, back when we were, you know, in our infancy as an independent nation. And it's been said over and over by the different dignitaries here today that Kenya has evolved incredibly since those days. And I feel somehow attached to that is also a bit of racism against ourselves, as well as tribalism. We give preference to, you know, Wazungu, even on a very social kind of setting, and everybody should be treated with respect, Wazungu included. But you'll find that there's certain, and it also ties to all the international forums we do, but we don't do forums for Diaspora. And so if we can start protecting the core and looking after ourselves before we spread out to entertain and invite guests from elsewhere, I think that would change the tide of things. It would show that the nation's invested in us, and we would in turn reciprocate with a more aggressive plan and intention to invest back home.
Thank you. Thank you. They're ready to take risks, Professor. So I'll come to Ambassador briefly, just 1 minute. License to import tea and coffee. Just tell us, assure us what happened.
Yes, the matter was brought to our office, and we are in touch with the tea board and other bodies and find out why they are not giving him a license to import tea and coffee. But we know that there are some cartels that don't want other people to, other people to enter that market. But we have taken up with the tea board, and then let me also go to the one for the diaspora. Actually, in every embassy in Kenya, I think it's President Kenyatta is one who ordered that there should be a diaspora desk. So even at the embassy we have a diaspora desk. At the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, we have a Diaspora Directorate. And at the Office of the President, we have International Jobs Office to help Kenyan diaspora get some of these jobs. On our website, if you look at the website, there's a provision for diaspora to register. But what I would like to know from you is why you don't register. Only 30,000 diasporas have registered with the embassy. Why?
They don't answer. I have tried, they don't answer the phone. Sir.
Don't call, send an email, use modern technology.
Thank you, I have tried.
Yes. If again you look at the website, there's a provision for you ask a question and to be replied. But like now, if you call and I don't pick your phone, you say the person does not call, does not pick phone calls. How can I pick when I'm here? We are in meetings. Use modern technology. Send emails. That's what people work on.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Ambassador. I'll now move to control of budget. Control of budget, briefly, we are almost running out. There are some governors also I'll give here. On this side, they'll contribute. Control of budget, what happened to the misuse of funds, and why did we see some Mheshimiwas going to watch World Cup? What happened?
Thank you very much, Session Chair. Mr. Gachoka, yes. Gachokia, all right. First, I just want to clarify on the issue of increase in allocation. I did indicate that the accountability institutions have consistently had increase in the allocation of budgets so that they can be strong, is to strengthen these institutions to be able to tackle the issue of accountability. So I think I just wanted to make that very clear to you, that they are being supported by the government to be strong and perform their mandates very effectively. Coming to the issue of misuse of funds, this is a concern not just to you alone and to our sisters and brothers here, but to everybody. And it is an issue that is being tackled, and I just want to demonstrate this. The two offices, the Office of the Control of Budget and the Office of the Auditor General, as you have been reading, we issue reports. If you go to our website, you will read, you will get the reports on how funds have been used. The Auditor General's website as well, you will get the audit reports. These reports are submitted to the National Assembly, in the case of the national government entities, and to the Senate, in the case of the county government entities. And I can tell you they are taken very seriously. We are very optimistic that going forward, these issues are going to be tackled. It's a concern of all of us as leaders of all the citizens in the country, and I can tell you it's being taken very seriously. You have seen in the recent past very senior people being taken